Hello once again, and thanks for watching. In this episode, I'm going to begin the first in my series about pronunciation. Now, pronunciation, if you don't know what that is in Korean, 발음, I believe. Maybe I'm pronouncing that wrong. Anyway, it's how you say a word. Now, today we're going to deal specifically with the sounds of S as in C and SH as in she. So hopefully you can get some practice with those and understand the difference. Now, if you're ready to go ahead and start the lesson, feel free to skip ahead in the video a little bit. But before we start that, I would like to take a few minutes to talk about why pronunciation is such an important part of the language. You know, a lot of times people sort of forget about teaching and practicing pronunciation. They focus usually on listening or reading, sometimes speaking, sometimes writing, but we tend to forget pronunciation. And it's so important, you guys. Um, Obviously, the one of the main reasons is because if you don't master your pronunciation, you can end up being people might not understand what you're saying. For example, you know, in South Korea, a PC, like a PC parlor or PC room where people go to play computer games is very popular. And I remember a student one time said, "Oh, I'm going to a PC room," right? Because they pronounce the P's kind of, well, they don't have a problem with P's. But the C part is a little bit tough. They say she instead of C. So he was saying pishi room, pishi room. And I thought to myself, what is that? Fish room? Pishi, fishy, fish. Room with fish? What is that? Okay, well, he meant a PC room, okay? Similarly, I experienced the same problem. My pronunciation is not always good in Korean. In Korean, the word for east is, I believe, dong, right? But the word for poop is dong, okay? It's a harder D sound. So a lot of times I've tried to say to people, tell people that I've gone east. I went east, and instead I end up saying I went poop. It's a very different meaning, right? So very important for that reason. But the second reason that pronunciation is so important is because of your image. Now, the thing is, it might not seem fair, it might not seem nice, but a lot of times, if a person is speaking our language, or anytime a person speaks in a language that is not their native language, and their pronunciation is not good, they seem less intelligent than they really are. I know in my country anyway, um, sometimes we almost view foreigners as like cartoon characters sometimes, you know, and we don't necessarily do this intentionally, but yeah, whenever people speak with kind of a foreign accent, it seems like a character out of a movie or a cartoon, and they seem just a little bit silly. And I think it's that way with most languages. Um, you know, imagine this scenario, okay? Imagine that you are conducting a job interview, okay? And a person comes in and he's wearing some shorts and, a t-shirt, right? And he might do a very good interview. All of his answers to your questions might be really good, very well thought out. Um, but even so, you keep thinking about the fact that he showed up for an interview in shorts and a t-shirt, you know, and you can't get quite past that, right? Well, it's the same way with your pronunciation. It's the first impression that you make when you talk to somebody. And so even though your grammar might be very good, your vocabulary is very good, if your pronunciation is not good, a lot of times you don't seem as smart as you are, okay? But now let's take another example. Let's say that you are conducting an interview and a guy walks in and he's wearing a very nice, a very nice suit. He looks very professional, and right away you think to yourself, hey, this guy's sharp, right? And maybe some of his answers to your questions aren't so good. He might be like, oh yeah, sometimes I'm a little bit late to work, and I like to steal office supplies, whatever. Okay, you might think to yourself, yeah, he's not perfect, but wow, that's a nice suit, right? Well, it's the same way with your pronunciation. A lot of times, if I am if I am judging a speech contest, for example, and a competitor begins speaking in a really good, with really good pronunciation, I think, wow, this guy is really good at English. He's really smart. And I tend to give him high points. And then sometimes I might listen to him and I suddenly discover, oh wait, his grammar is a little bit off. He's not using his articles when he should, etc. But it takes me a while to notice that, okay? And it's the same way with your pronunciation. Even though your grammar might not be perfect, if your pronunciation is good, a lot of people might look past that, okay? So it can make you seem smarter and better at English, but also if you pronounce, okay, with me, whenever I talk to, when I go up to a Korean, let's say at a cafe or something like that, I automatically expect they're not going to be so good at English. And in my subconscious, I kind of view them as, um, perhaps not being as smart as they really are. It's not something I think intentionally. It's just kind of a natural assumption that I think most people have, right, when they don't speak the same language as you do. But then that person might respond with some really good pronunciation, and I suddenly I feel almost embarrassed, and I think, oh, this person is really smart. And suddenly I feel like I have to impress this person. I feel like they're smarter than I am, because now they speak two languages fluently. I only speak one fluently, And it's not just that they seem smarter, they seem more confident and thereby more attractive. So having that good pronunciation, it will help you, pass speaking tests, job interviews if they're in English. It will even make it easier for you to make foreign friends that speak that language because they will have more respect for you. If it's, it might even help you get dates more easily, right? So pronunciation is very important and it opens up a lot of doors, okay? So let me go ahead with our lesson. As I mentioned, today we're talking about the difference between the S, what I like to call a pure S, and the SH sound. This is something that a lot of Koreans struggle with. I believe the Chinese also have difficulty with this too. Um, there's a popular American cartoon series called South Park, and it's an adult cartoon, kind of similar to like The Simpsons or Family Guy, if you've ever seen those. And they have a running joke where there's a Chinese restaurant called City Walk. Okay, walk being the I guess like the American English word for what we do a lot of our Chinese cooking in. But the running joke is that he pronounces it shitty walk, okay, which that's napun mal, right? It's not something you want to say. And he says, would you like to try our shitty chicken, right? Okay, maybe it's not a very polite joke, but it goes to show you how important that is, right? I don't want people to laugh at your pronunciation, so I'm going to teach it to you now. It's a very simple difference. Now, the SH is something that most people don't have trouble with. but I'm going to tell you about it anyway. Basically, when you say the SH, your tongue goes upwards to the roof of the mouth, right? Like she. Right? If you say she, you think about where your tongue is. It's going upwards, right? Okay, that is the SH sound. Now, let's talk about the pure S and how to make that one. The pure S, or the basic S, is the tough one. Let's talk about that right now. Now, to make the basic S sound, your tongue is gonna go down. In fact, it actually touches the teeth right here. Okay? So, for example, C, right? C, if you think about that one, your tongue is going downwards. It's pretty much that simple. Now, some people will actually kind of put their tongue in the right place, but it still ends up being a sh sound, right? They'll go C, C, right? If you do that, your tongue is probably going just a little bit too low. If that's your problem, if your tongue is going down, but you still say an SH sound, try touching it more to the teeth. Actually put it on the teeth. And that might feel a little bit awkward, but it should get you the correct sound, okay? C, C. I'm actually touching my teeth with my tongue. So if you do that, give it a little bit of practice, and pretty soon your S's will sound great. I hope this lesson was helpful to you. In the future, I'll probably discuss some other pronunciation tips, things such as the L and the R, the Z and the J, maybe even the Y. A lot of people really have a tough time with the Y, and even how to teach how to pronounce it. So once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.